And we are going to start with an Australian to speak about the Australian Grand Prix, your home race, Jawad, a race you've attended many times in the past. What are your memories of the Australian Grand Prix, and why is this a special event to kickstart the 2025 season?
Well, as far as memories are concerned, I think there's way too many to discuss in this short amount of time that we have on the show today. But just for everyone's interest, I want to highlight, I guess, the three wins here for Jenson Button, who growing up was one of my favorite drivers through the 2000s. And, that famous win for Brawn that he had in '09, and then doing it back to back with McLaren in 2010 and then 2013. Kimi Raikkonen's win in the Lotus 2013. It was unexpected, but it was, we had predicted that Sebastian Vettel would just walk over the race, as such was his form at the time as a three-time world champion. But I'm going to go with a left field memory here. Maybe not the most, I guess, savory for a lot of people, but 2020 or 2025 marks 5 years since the 2020 cancellation of the Australian Grand Prix, and I've really gone back and been thinking about it. I've written a little retrospective about it as well, which I'd be happy to share later in the week, closer to the race. So aptly and ominously, it was Friday the 13th of March that the Australian Grand Prix was cancelled in 2020, and coronavirus, COVID-19, had officially made its mark on Formula One, and also for us living here in Melbourne as well. We ended up going through a record number of days in lockdown, 262 days across 2020 and 2021. But as passionate fans of motorsport, passionate fans of F1, the appetite just grew during that time. And, we're only seeing it since we came out of lockdown and F1 returned in 2022. The numbers have spoken for themselves. We've had record crowds ever since. So yeah, I guess the reason why the race is so special is because we've got such a passionate and knowledgeable fan base. Motorsport isn't necessarily Australia's like number one sport. We've got Aussie rules football for that, and rugby league, cricket. But the fan base here is very knowledgeable, and there's a clear reason why this race is locked in contractually till 2037, which is the most, I think, of any race on the current calendar. And then you look at the history as well. So you guys will be familiar with names like Sir Jack Brabham, Alan Jones as well, world champions from here. But then some of the lesser known names too, like Tim Schenken, Larry Perkins, David Brabham, son of Sir Jack, that raced in F1 as well. So there's a lot of talent in this world, and it's great seeing we have had two Aussie drivers on the grid for the last couple of years. We've got a new one this year in Jack Doohan as well, from another famous racing family on this side of the world. So yeah, it's definitely, like, I'm maybe a bit biased in saying this, but yeah, it is quite a special race. And regardless of whether the race is entertaining or boring, because I know the Albert Park track has been criticised for being boring, particularly if you're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and your side of the world, and you're not getting an absolute barnstormer that a Silverstone might produce. But I think the overall vibe and atmosphere of the race, the fact that it's the first race of the season as well as it is, this is the first time since 2020 that it has gone back to that slot. It's a real like back to school sort of atmosphere, and it's very much like a summer festival. And I'm not trying to sell it, but if you ever get the opportunity to come to a race overseas, I would solidly recommend Albert Park and the Australian Grand Prix.